Amanda and Taunch Weldon look like the quintessential corn-fed Iowa couple.
People thought Taunch and Mandy were extremely happy.
They really did seem like soulmates.
But behind closed doors, there's lots of love going around.
He wanted to be, in his eyes, married to all three of them, married as one.
Some people call that swingers. They were swingers.
Until their love triangle takes a sharp and deadly turn.
But no one saw it coming.
Nobody should have had to die. Nobody should have been pushed that far.
Love may be blind and marriage bliss, but divorce is murder. Marengo is a tight-knit farming village on the shores of the Iowa River. 24-year-old Taunch Weldon grows up in this pastoral setting, a typical country boy.
He was a guy who liked to shoot guns. He was a guy who liked to drink beer, hunting, fishing, anything. Kind of a scruffy-looking guy, but definitely kind of a tough guy.
A tough guy with a softer side.
Taunch did all kinds of things from his heart. He did a lot of family things. He was a good kid, you know, and my only child.
Yeah, I wanted to tell you that story about last year when I was taking this girl for a walk.
Taunch is a good son and a good friend.
We partied in the same circles a lot, and he's just such a loyal friend. He was always there. I went through some really bad times with drugs, and he helped me get clean, gave me a place to stay. He was there for me.
It's at a party where Taunch meets the girl who will change his life. 20-year-old Amanda Jacks, better known as Mandy.
I can't get my eyes off that girl. Amazing.
Mandy was a very popular person around town.
So do you do that?
She was a very friendly person, very much like Taunch, in that she made friends in all sorts of circles and was the type of person that could strike up conversations with anybody. Just a very likable country-type girl.
Wow, I'm gonna marry that girl.
I don't know how they hadn't met before. She'd probably heard of him.
When Taunch saw Mandy, it was, in his eyes, love at first sight.
I don't know what it was with her. She was attractive, but other than that, he could never explain it, you know? He loved her, you know? They were soulmates.
Oh, I can't get over your eyes.
Taunch is a man of his word.
They had a great chemistry, and they kind of had a whirlwind courtship. I believe they got engaged and then got married within the year.
In fact, they marry just 5 months after they meet, surrounded by friends and family.
They got married in a Legion Hall. There was a lot of laughing and a lot of cutting up, but I think I cried through the whole wedding because I had never seen so much compassion in my son. It just radiated from him. We thought Mandy was an awesome person.
They were just perfect. Just the aura around them. It was just, you could tell that it was love.
Psychotherapist Stacy Kaiser and forensic psychologist Brian Russell worry about a young couple who have jumped headfirst into adulthood.
I think that Taunch and Mandy got married way too soon, way too young. I think that Taunch and Mandy seem happy, but one of the things that a lot of young people don't realize is that marriage isn't just about being happy.
They met at a time when they didn't really know who they were or what they wanted. They don't really have personalities that are settled, that are familial, and so it's hard to know what the future will bring.
As a couple, Mandy and Taunch both love to hunt and fish. Taunch even buys Mandy her own 20-gauge shotgun.
Guns were important to this family. They had a lot of guns in the house, and the shotgun that was given as a gift for Christmas was an important token kind of their love of each other.
When they move into a farmhouse deep in the country, they fill the barn with kegs and the house with friends.
I would describe it no other way as kind of off the beaten path. There was a lot of area to get out and like shoot a gun. That was something that they could do in their backyard.
Watch this one. Watch this one.
You can do it.
They would have gatherings, get-togethers, you know, so doing some shooting or fishing and stuff like that. Drinking. Very social. You know, they were a package deal. You know, they were just like each other. They were the life of the party.
Alcohol was consumed in the Weldon home fairly regularly. I think that Tonch probably drank between a 6-pack and a 12-pack of beer probably every day.
It doesn't take long to throw kids into the mix. In 1996, a year into the marriage, Mandy gives birth to a baby boy, followed by a girl just 1 year later.
Very loving. Very, very loving parents, very protective parents.
They certainly loved their kids, but socializing and partying was part of their life, and so that was something that they were going to incorporate into their life.
If Tonch and Mandy are focusing on partying or they're focusing on drinking, the strength of that bond is not as good as it would be if the focus were really upon one another.
In a lot of ways, odds are against the relationship of Tonch and Mandy. First of all, they met young and married young. Secondly, they had children young. And thirdly, they love to party. And so that combination often doesn't bode well for a relationship.
Somehow, between friends and work and family, they seem to manage. But that doesn't mean it's easy.
Tonch worked in a local printing factory, worked very long hours, usually 12-hour shifts was typical. And Mandy usually worked some part-time jobs, doing a lot of like clerking and that sort of thing. I think Tonch and Mandy were typical rural parents in that they both worked, both kept jobs, but still managed to care for kids. And I think in the rural community, our families are close, our friends are close. There's never a time where you're not going to have somebody who's going to be around to watch after the kids.
Clearly, to the outside world, they were a very happy couple.
A beer, please?
Then, just 3 years into the marriage, Tonch is starting to get bored with the routine.
No one saw it coming.
One winter night, at a local bar, he finds someone who's willing to help.
Hi there. I'm Tonch.
I'm Anna.
At some point, Tonch approached a young woman, 19 years old, and said, would you be willing to try an experiment with us?
You'd be perfect for the mix of, you know, me and her together.
Wanted his wife, plus he wanted, some extra excitement.
Only then does Tonch reveal his open marriage fantasy to Mandy and tells her about his idea.
They did talk about it, about the open marriage, and she agreed to it because she wanted to keep him happy and she was in love with him. But it's not something that she, wanted necessarily. Tonch seemed to be unhappy. Amanda said that she knew that he was unhappy and he was just looking for some excitement, I guess, to add to the marriage.
He did not want anything to come between them, Mandy and his kids.
Soon, it won't be something that comes between the couple, but someone.
It was never, ever to be one-on-one.
Don't touch me!
Tonch and Mandy Weldon seem like the perfect couple. But in early 2000, just 3 years after tying the knot, Tonch asks Mandy if they can spice up their otherwise pedestrian marriage with a ménage à trois.
Would you, for me?
For you.
Mandy agrees to the proposition on one condition.
They weren't allowed to be with the other person, that third party, unless it was known and basically approved by the other.
It was never, ever to be one-on-one and not, Tonch off with one girl and Mandy home alone. They saw it as not cheating that way.
Just days later, Tonch brings Anna into the couple's marital bed for the first time.
I think she was somewhat of a free spirit.
She was a good friend of, I guess, of Tanch's, and I think she was 19 at the time, so she was pretty young. And she just had always liked him, and he asked her to do this, and she agreed to it.
She was definitely like a modern-day hippie. Super friendly, super nice. She was open, you know, just pretty much open to whatever made her happy.
Despite Mandy's initial reluctance, she enjoys the experience.
She was willing to try it, and obviously she liked it, because this went on for quite some time.
The feeling goes 3 ways. And over the next 10 months, Anna spends nearly every single night in the couple's bed.
As far as I know, she was in every aspect of their life, you know. She was a third partner. They got along so well. She fit in. She was like one of the group, you know. It didn't seem odd or out of place, honestly. There's a lot of happy times.
The rules of their open marriage remain in place. Tanch and Amanda never sleep with the young woman alone. And the 3-way relationship actually works.
I think it's because she had been told right from the start that there would not be any conflict between Tanch and Mandy, that they were husband and wife first, and she came next.
After a year, Anna is ready to strike out on her own.
She just said that she spiritually went beyond that and wanted to leave the relationship and go on with her life in another direction.
I think she was interested in getting married and having a family of her own, and I guess she would have to at that point.
They all loved each other, so even though it ended in a good way.
I was thinking maybe we can do the same thing as we did last time. Okay. What do you think about the one over by the pool table over there?
After such an intense and positive experience, Tanch and Mandy are hungry for more.
They decided to find a replacement, so I think it became somewhat of an effort between both of them to sort of recruit a new player. That's really when it becomes more of an open relationship, not necessarily open to just anybody, but a carefully selected individual.
Some people call that swingers. They were swingers.
Over the next few years, Tanch and Mandy have other threesomes. And it's not always clear who the driving force is behind their sexual exploits.
I'm not just saying this because it's my son, but I'm not so sure it was as much Tanch as it was Mandy. I think Tanch went along with it. I mean, not that he didn't like it, but he went along with it to keep his wife happy.
Is she interested?
Amanda didn't seem like she wanted the open relationship. She was willing to go along with it because she said that, you know, she loved Tanch and she thought he was, you know, needing that excitement.
From what I could tell, she was just as eager and open to it as he was.
If I take a look at the relationship of Mandy and Tanch and who might be pursuing the swinging and who's happy with it or unhappy with it, at this present time, it looks like it's something that they're both interested in, that they're both pursuing, and that they're both willing to be doing.
In any case, to the extent that they made the decision together, Tanch and Mandy may have believed that they were co-equals, bringing in a third party to satisfy their mutual desires.
This secret swinging lifestyle seems to suit Tanch and Mandy well.
I think the close family and friends probably understood and knew that it was going on, but the average person in town probably did not.
I think the kids knew what they needed to know without any extra information.
Relax, no, relax. Mandy, stop.
But 10 years into their marriage, Mandy suspects Tanch is breaking the rules.
Certainly, Mandy was jealous of some of what Tanch did. He would be out and about, and so he certainly connected with women when he was out drinking, and I think that frustrated Mandy, who stayed very much faithful through a lot of the relationship.
Stay out!
She confronts Tanch about his flirtations.
You think that I am?
I think the fights, they were fighting a little more often. Friends had seen them fighting.
The Iowa County Sheriff's Office received some 911 calls from the Weldon residents reporting domestic disturbances at the house. So deputies were there a couple times dealing with these domestic arguments.
Mandy's suspicions are dead on. While she's staying faithful to the ground rules, Tanch has been getting a little on the side.
Tanch certainly slept with other women, according to Mandy. She was troubled by that, as I think any wife would.
It made her mad. She said she was a jealous person, she said, but Tanch was not.
Tanch's infidelity eventually brings the couple to blows.
They had went to a Christmas party and everybody had had a few drinks, of course.
Don't touch me! We had one rule!
There was a point where Mandy and Tanch got into one of their arguments. I think typically it was when there was a little bit of alcohol in one or both of them.
What may have started as jealousy-induced bickering has escalated.
Tanch just wanted to have the open marriage. It was just like he felt like he needed that. She wanted not to do it anymore, and he wanted to continue.
I don't know what, he said something or wanted to do something, and Mandy got upset, and then she wanted her things her way.
An eyewitness hears the commotion and calls the cops. This time, when police answer the call, Mandy accuses Tanch of punching her.
I think it's the only time that there was ever a charge. I think when we see that Tanch has actually punched Mandy, I think we can kind of get a taste of the fact that Tanch does lose control, can lose control. For about 2 weeks later, as I recall, Mandy went to the county attorney and wanted to drop the charges, so they probably made up. They still loved each other.
She says that he was not the one doing the hitting, that she was the one doing the hitting, and she wants him home now.
Now, with their marriage in trouble, Tanch is hell-bent on finding a new lover, one who will please Mandy.
I think Tanch and Mandy's relationship sort of eroded a little bit as they lost their third player. I think it just sort of brought up the restlessness that Tanch was suffering from before that he was able to come up with this arrangement. So it became sort of important for him to find a replacement.
Finally, Tanch meets the woman he believes will ultimately save their marriage.
What's your name?
I'm Amy.
Amy Gephardt, a 35-year-old who's new in town.
She had a different look than what they usually were, the girls that they were usually with, you know. Not quite as feminine.
And Amy was an open lesbian, and I think that sort of changed the game a little bit for Tanch.
I think I really like you.
Will Amy mend their marriage or tear it apart?
Telling some of his closer friends, I'm getting a little worried about the Amy-Mandy situation.
He was treated like a dog, pretty much.
I think some people actually thought he was gonna shoot somebody.
Tanch and Mandy Weldon like to share their marital bed with a third person, with unpredictable results. By 2009, Tanch has not been playing by the rules, and Mandy gets jealous. But they hope that taking a new lover, Amy Gephardt, will bring some harmony back into the household. And the chemistry between Amy and Mandy is palpable.
They really hit it off, and it seemed to be like they were, instantly attracted to each other.
With the romance rekindled, Tanch has a special gift for Mandy's 33rd birthday.
I have something to show you.
Tanch decided to give her a present, which consisted of buying a motel room in a local motel.
But Tanch isn't staying.
He goes in with them, but then he leaves.
Mandy gets her own private sexual encounter with Amy. For Mandy, it's a first.
Tanch had broken that over the years, but Amanda had never broken that rule. And so this was something that Tanch was offering his wife.
And so Amy and Mandy slept together and obviously had a wonderful night.
As the wonderful nights continue, Tanch joins the party.
They start a regular relationship, the three of them.
The three-person relationship involving the couple and Amy evolved very quickly because it was something that Tanch and Amanda were used to.
It was just different because with Amy, it seemed not so much for Tanch as it did something for Mandy.
In just weeks, the three adults are almost inseparable. And just over 1 month after Mandy's birthday surprise, Amy parks her camper in their driveway. Then she moves into their home and their marital bed.
It was about the same time that she was having some financial problems and basically was losing the home that she had been living in.
She went back to Tanch and Mandy and said, "Hey, is there a place where I can stay?" Right away, they said, "Yeah, come on in." And before you know it, the three of them are sleeping in the same bed. And Amy's part of the family now. And the kids know her, call her by name. She's Amy, you know, she's almost like another parent.
Good to see you. Good to see you.
Amy is even introduced to Tanch's mother, Barbara.
Oh yeah, we met Amy several times, 3 or 4 or 5. As far as to speak to and be around, she was very pleasant. I didn't agree with it. I'll never agree with it. I never said anything, and I wished I had now. They're all adults, and they made their choices.
So, I think I told you.
Tanch is so pleased with the situation that in April, he wants to make their threesome official.
I make jewelry, so he got a hold of me and asked me to make 3 rings, one for him and Mandy and Amy.
Amy and Amanda don't know about it. He hasn't told them about it.
Tanch wanted to have a ceremony, you know, friends, family, people over to see that this was a serious thing. In his eyes, if this ceremony were to go off without a hitch, they would all be hitched.
Obviously, it wouldn't be a lawful marriage, but he wanted to be, in his eyes, married to all 3 of them, married as one. You know, it would have been a symbolic marriage.
There's absolutely no way that Mandy, Tanch, and Amy are all equal partners in this relationship. First of all, Mandy and Tanch are married, and Amy is not a part of that. Secondly, they have children together, and Amy is not a part of that.
And it's clear that none of them are really thinking in a cool, calm, collected way about what is best for everyone, including the children, especially the children.
Well, it's such a pleasure.
While Tanch claims his goal is to mark a deepening commitment to both women, friends think he's actually worried about losing one of them.
We're gonna have a very nice.
Amy is a lesbian. She was an out lesbian. And so certainly over time, she was going to start pulling Mandy away from Tanch. I think it was just inevitable.
Later that month, it happens. The 2 women sleep together for the first time when Tanch isn't home.
Amy and Mandy were definitely breaking the rules, or that Amy and Mandy were taking a closer bind to each other than they were with Tanch.
Tanch doesn't know about these encounters yet, but he notices a shift in the couple's dynamic.
There's definitely a power shift between Mandy and Amy and Tanch, simply because Amy and Amanda are finding it easier to be with each other. In hindsight, he probably realized that he may have made a mistake somewhere along the way, in that she was basically a lesbian and really didn't have a lot of interest in Tanch.
I think Amy tried to convince Mandy to love her and love her only.
Amanda didn't say exactly what happened. She just said that they were able to spend more time together and they just fell in love. It wasn't like they set out to do that. She didn't mean for it to happen necessarily, but she had fallen in love with her.
Now, the only obstacle to Amy and Mandy being together is Tanch.
The real truth is, if 2 women are truly sexually interested in each other, they usually don't have a lot of use for the guy, at least not for the long haul.
When 2 people live together, in this case, it was Mandy and Tanch, they build a power dynamic. When you bring in someone else, in this case, Amy, everything has to shift around. Roles get changed, and so there's a shifting going on at this point in their relationship, and we don't know where it's settled yet, and we don't know how it's going to work out.
The situation comes to a head during a weekend-long party at Tanch and Mandy's farmhouse.
The party was where the downward spiral really started.
Everybody was at the party. Everybody was having a good time.
The guests have drained the better part of 6 kegs in the barn.
All of a sudden, Tunch and Mandy disappeared. And I asked somebody, I says, well, where's Tunch? And they said that Mandy had taken him down to the creek, that she had let him down there to talk.
Come back here!
As night falls, Mandy confesses her true feelings about Amy to Tunch.
What's going on?
She and Amy had fallen in love, and that she was thinking about, leaving him.
I have real feelings for Amy, Tunch.
Essentially, Amy and Mandy wanted to be together alone and no longer include Tunch.
A huge argument erupted. It caused a lot of chaos. He made it quite clear that he wanted this relationship to work.
That's really when the anger in Tunch really surfaced. And it really came to a head that night.
Well, Tunch stormed off. He went to the house and he locked the door.
She broke in. Somehow she got in.
I think some people actually thought he was going to shoot somebody. I think some people might have thought that he was going to shoot himself. Others thought he was going to shoot Mandy.
And she basically had to talk him down, and it took quite a while, I think.
Sit down.
Bitch, screwed everything up.
Sit down.
Passions simmer down by dawn, when everyone sobers up.
When the sun came up, it was like nothing happened. After the party, things returned to normal. Tunch, Mandy, and Amy are, a 3-way couple again, and life is normal.
Tunch seems to continue his relationship with Amy and Amanda. He doesn't treat Amy any differently.
But beneath the thin veneer of normality, something has changed. Tunch tells friends and family that the girls are turning against him.
He was telling some of his closer friends, I'm getting a little worried about the Amy-Mandy situation.
He was king of the castle before this, and it was definitely different. He was lost. He felt like he was lost.
The first phone call was, Mom, Mandy and Amy told me that they're going to sleep in our bed and I could have one little corner and just deal with it, leave them alone.
He was belittled. They knew that he would be there no matter what, and they acted like it, and they broke him in a way.
The next phone call I received, he told me he was very upset again, crying, and told me that Mandy and Amy was going to leave and take his kids. But he talked them into staying, but the only way that they would stay is if they could do whatever they wanted, and he was not involved.
I think it's the ultimate irony where Tunch thought that he could have his cake and eat it too, have 2 women to have sex with, to live under his roof with him and with his kids, and it would all go fine. And then it ended up that he was the one that got isolated.
The foundation of this very relationship was a recipe for disaster.
Tunch becomes increasingly desperate.
The next phone call I got, he said, Mom, I got a plan. I says, what's your plan, Tunch?
I'm gonna ask Amy not to sleep with Mandy for a month and
To see if Amy really does love her or not.
The next phone call from the house is not to Tunch's mother. It's to the police.
Oh my God! 1040 Avenue, there's been a double shooting!
The 911 call was terrifying, screaming. It was hair-raising.
Tunch and Amanda Weldon invite Amy Gephardt into their home and their marital bed. But Amy is not the solution to their marital problems. Far from it. On a June afternoon, a frantic woman phones Iowa County's dispatch service to say there's a shooting in progress.
911, what's the location of your emergency? Oh my God! 1040 Avenue, there's been a double shooting! Ma'am, I need you to calm down. What is the address?
It's a female just screaming for somebody to get here right away.
The 911 call was terrifying, screaming. It was hair-raising.
It was very difficult for the dispatcher to really figure out what really had happened.
When deputies pull up to the property just before 5 p.m., they face a grisly scene.
It was my first homicide that I ever dealt with personally. It was certainly the first time for my responding officers as well.
Tonch is lying in a pool of blood just inside the doorway. Most of his jaw is missing.
I saw Tonch laying on the floor in what appeared to be suffering from a very severe injury to his face.
In the next room, a female with a single gunshot to the chest lies motionless. It's Amy Gephardt.
She was actually sort of just laying back on the sofa, but in a sitting position, but sort of slumped, but her head back. Almost if somebody was sitting back and just fell asleep.
Tonch is still breathing, but police and paramedics aren't certain he'll make it.
They had to put him in a helicopter, fly him to Iowa City.
We really thought that when he left in that helicopter that he wasn't going to come back alive.
The scene is chaotic, and police have no idea what happened.
At that point, the possibility is anybody who's in the room who's still alive could have shot the weapon.
What is clear is that it's too late for Amy Gephardt. She's declared dead on the scene, from a bullet straight through the heart.
And then he got the gun, and then he went.
Of the three adults, Mandy, who made the 911 call, is the only one who escapes unscathed.
Mandy was just almost uncontrollable in fright and anguish. You name it, it was all coming out of her. She's screaming, she's crying, she's yelling, very upset, full of blood. It could have been Mandy, it could have been Tonch, it could have been a person that was no longer there. I really didn't know. I just knew that we had a homicide.
Mandy is brought in for questioning.
Mandy is a suspect right from the beginning just because she has to be. She's alive. One person is dead. She was there.
They had one person killed, one person seriously injured, and then whatever version she was going to tell.
He rushed into the house.
Mandy claims it all started with a jealous rage.
I was able to finally understand from her that Tonch shot Amy and then turned the gun on himself and actually shot himself in the face with the shotgun, but didn't kill himself, and actually racked another round in and shot again, and basically shot in the same place and still hadn't killed himself.
But when police search the scene, they note the 20-gauge shotgun is registered to Mandy, not Tonch. And there are 2 sets of fingerprints on the gun. Investigators know that Tonch is a gifted marksman, so how could he possibly mess up his own suicide?
In my mind, there's no way that Tonch was tried to kill himself. He's carried a gun since he could walk, and if he wanted to shoot himself, he would have done it right the first time. Obviously, if he didn't do it, someone else must have.
There's only one person left to corroborate or dispute Mandy's version of events: Tonch, if he makes it through the night.
A situation between 3 people who supposedly loved and cared about each other would escalate because of jealousy. Jealousy is a powerful emotion. It makes people angry and it makes them afraid. And when somebody is angry and afraid, they oftentimes do things that are volatile and destructive.
I think that Tonch and Mandy and Amy ended up at this point because they totally overestimated their ability to keep a triad relationship balanced.
Hours go by, and Tonch makes it through surgery. His jaw needs to be reconstructed, but he's going to survive.
We did not leave until we know he was going to make it. He had blown all of his jaw off except for about this much on the side. I can't even put it into words. I hope nobody in this whole world ever has to go through that. Nobody.
When Tonch regained consciousness at the hospital, one of my investigators was there, and he begins to write notes.
He couldn't speak or anything, and so he did a lot of writing on paper.
Unfortunately, what he writes is ambiguous.
First thing he wrote on a piece of paper, when he was able to steady himself and write, he wrote Mandy's gun. All it said was Mandy's gun. It did not say who used it, or anything. And then he wrote, Mandy can rot in hell. And I didn't know how to take that either.
When investigators ask him who shot Amy, he asks for an attorney.
He never admitted to anything.
It's a classic case of he said, she said. And before the real events of that night become clear, shocking details will come to light.
I don't think either one of them knew what was coming at all.
Taunch sees this. Now it's no longer a story, it's real.
The relationship between a married couple and their lesbian lover ends in tragedy. Amy Gephardt is shot dead. Taunch Weldon is on life support with his jaw blown off, which his wife Mandy claims is a result of a botched murder-suicide.
When we processed the scene, we found that there were 3 rounds of shotgun fired. One of the shells was used to shoot Amy.
The other 2 were directed towards Taunch.
We found the holes in the ceiling where those stray shots that had hit him in the face had gone up through the 2-story house into the ceiling.
While the murder weapon belongs to Mandy, there are 2 sets of fingerprints on the gun, Taunch's and Mandy's. So who fired the fatal shot that killed Amy? And who shot Taunch?
It was determined that the fingerprints that were left there by Taunch were left there in the same fashion that you would expect them to be left by a person who was holding and controlling and firing the weapon.
Mandy's fingerprints tell a different story.
The fingerprints that were left there by Mandy were in the wrong direction. She was actually pulling the gun away from Taunch, trying to stop him from firing the weapon again, and it was completely consistent with the story that she had given us.
Taunch is charged with Amy's murder as police piece together the events of June 7th, 2009.
Taunch had some friends over, got off work around noon, and went down to shoot some guns with his buddies. They were drinking beer. There were empty kegs in the nearby barn. Amy and Amanda came back. They had been out of town seeing some family. Obviously, when they were gone, some agreement had been struck between Amy and Amanda to confront Taunch about this. And almost right away, Amanda went down to tell Taunch that Amy and she were going to leave him. But they were going to move into Amy's camper, and they were going to move away from Taunch.
Taunch sees this. Now it's no longer a story, it's real. He's seeing it unfold.
Mandy, I'll change.
It broke him down. He dropped down to a knee. He begged Mandy to stay, and he was very upset, vividly emotional.
When the fight starts to brew is when those friends leave because they're realizing something's happening here and we probably need to leave them alone.
Taunch is furious. He storms out of the barn and into the house to confront Amy.
And abruptly, Taunch got up. He went in the house. He closed the door, locked the front door.
Mandy tries to follow Taunch into the house.
She couldn't get in a door because they were locked, so she went to a nearby window.
And she's looking through the window and she sees Taunch inside and Amy, and they seem like they're arguing.
Taunch sees Mandy watching them through the window. He turns to her, and while she can't hear him, she can read his lips.
Get up! Good! I want you to see this!
And then he left the room.
What is going on?
Had it gone the other way around, that she opened the window and came out, rather than having Mandy come in to continue the discussion and the confrontation, may have been a different story.
I don't think that Amy knew the danger of it. I don't think either one of them knew what was coming at all.
When Taunch returned, he had a gun.
It's Mandy's gun, cocked and ready to fire. Now Tanch has something else to say. And this time, Mandy can hear his words crystal clear.
I can't have it, neither can you!
He shot her directly in the heart and just exploded her heart with a shotgun.
It just goes crazy, and then Tanch takes the gun and shoots himself in the jaw.
Does it again. This is while she's trying to basically fight the gun out of his hand.
The greatest tragedy is that Mandy's not the only witness.
The oldest child did witness the murder, basically.
He immediately knew that his daddy had shot Amy, and he knew that daddy shot himself too.
4 weeks later, Tanch Weldon, now 39, stands trial for the first-degree murder of Amy Gephardt.
The defense never tried to say that it didn't happen, never ever tried to say that Tanch didn't do it. Their defense basically was that Tanch was too intoxicated to form premeditation, to understand what he was doing and to control himself.
He hadn't planned it, he didn't mean to, it just happened.
The prosecution argues that his heavy alcohol consumption means his tolerance is extremely high.
The fact that he drank excessively every day of his life would indicate that drinking that day was really no different.
Tanch didn't choose Amy's murder weapon at random.
And he could have grabbed a 12 gauge, a 20 gauge, a 410. But I think the fact that he was using Mandy's gun really told us that he's actually thinking about this.
And the fact that he would use that gun that he gave her and kill Amy was very powerful.
Tanch and Mandy, from the very beginning, lived a partying lifestyle. And then something serious happens, like Amy and Mandy going off together. Boom, it's like a giant smack in the face of reality that Tanch never wanted to see.
I think they continually found extraneous things like partying and alcohol and third-party sexual participants to focus their energy on instead of each other. And it worked for a while, but that never is going to last in the long term.
The trial grips the tiny community, who only now find out what really happened that day.
The fact that Tanch appeared to love his wife so much that he tried to take away her lover, who was also his lover, and himself to punish his wife for trying to leave him, was a very interesting tale.
When this altercation happens with the three of them that Sunday, I think Tanch felt like he wasn't in control, and it's every emotion coming to surface for Tanch at that moment.
All I can say is, as a married man, you know, if you love someone that much, it would at least cross your mind in that situation, you know, if you love someone that much. But if I was in his shoes, you know, I might have done the same thing.
Tanch didn't want to kill Amanda. This was his punishment, was to take them both away from her. But he was going to let her live the rest of her life. But as for how he didn't pull off his own suicide, I don't know. I think it's somewhat miraculous, honestly, that he lived.
After 5 days of deliberation, the jury comes back with a guilty verdict for first-degree murder.
Tanch was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole.
My heart just broke. Not into 2 or 3 pieces, but into a billion. I did not believe that they could come back and say he was guilty. Could not believe that.
Tanch reacted really oddly. When the verdict came in, he didn't have any reaction. He showed no emotion whatsoever. He might have been resigned to his fate at that point.
Tanch's mother continues to believe in his innocence.
There had to be something else that happened, like him and Mandy arguing over the gun, and the gun accidentally went off and got Amy. They was playing a deadly game. So it wasn't all him, you know, it was all of them together.
What strikes me about this story is how truly sad it is, because for a couple that started out only seeking what they viewed as happiness and joy, there is no one that is ultimately happy.
What happened here is Tanch's own sexual greed, so to speak, ended up coming back to bite him, leaving him feeling betrayed and angry and hell-bent on making sure that Mandy and Amy didn't get to have happiness to the exclusion of him.
In August 2012, an appeals court upholds Tanch's conviction. His children visit him in prison.
So happy to see you.
They love their dad. They go see him every other weekend. They wouldn't want to miss seeing him hardly for anything.
You know, they've done the best they can with a really bad situation, and they're doing pretty good.
Mandy still lives in the community.
Mandy's reaction to this was every bit as sad as, I think, as if she would have been the person who had gotten shot. I think part of her really died that day.
Amanda was, obviously well-liked in the community, so people went to the courthouse to support her. She left the courtroom and didn't move out of town. She's still part of the community.
Amy Gephardt is deeply mourned by her family.
Amy's parents released a statement after the verdict was read, and essentially they said, there's no winner here. At the end of the day, we lost our daughter.
Amy was their only child, so this was, a terrible loss as it would be for anybody.
Amy's gone. Mandy's living her life. And Tanch is in prison for the rest of his life. He's not a murderous monster. He's not. He is a man that loves his children, still loves his wife. He tells me that all the time. He says, Mom, I do not know how to stop loving her.